wasn't official.
Okay, you can tell me. We're ready to start. Okay. Okay. We are Nun Gimel Lamed Aleph. We started a new piece yesterday about the guys learning the Beit Midrash. They brought fire in front of them. I want to see the language of the Gemara inside. Taner Rabbanan. Nathan, for next week, we expect you to do more recruitment.
Okay.
If you don't mind, if you don't mind, we'll put you on the recruitment team.
You got $100 in Shamayim.
Much greater. Every part of the learning that the person does, you get a credit on a deal.
Okay.
It's not like here you give $100 for signing somebody up. It's the constant, every day you're constantly getting on the deal, whatever, because of you, this guy came. All right? We hope you don't mind me giving you that challenge, Nathan. I think you're a big boy, you can handle the challenge. Taner Rabbanan. You should know in this week's parasha, it says about Noach. It says, Es Elokim Hisalech Noach. He went with God. What does the pasuk say? Hashem gave him Vayolad Noach Shlosha Banim, Hashem Etcham Et Yofet. So the Sforno, the great Italian scholar, Mona Yosef Atzadik, he says, it seems the Torah seems to connect. Bye-bye. Mona Yosef Atzadik. The Torah connects Es Elokim Hisalech Noach, him going with Hashem, to the birth of his children. So perhaps there was a great merit, Skula, Moni Maris. So the Sforno says in the merit that he was going with God. He was telling people to keep mitzvot, to stop rebelling against God. He was encouraging the people to do the right thing. Hashem gave him children, that merit. He was 500 years old when he gave birth. Pretty old to give birth at 500. But why was it that and the Torah perhaps is connecting the dots. What merit did God give him the children? Was Eselakim. He was telling people about there's going to be a flood. Guys, you got to shape up. Stop doing the thievery, stop sinning. That's the Sforno's connection. Because the Torah opens up. Here's the children of Noach, and then it goes to Noach was a tzaddik, and then it names his children. What happened? Why did you put in the middle step? These are the children of Noach. Noach. There's Noach each tzaddik. He was a righteous person. And then you tell me and he had 3 sons, Shem and Chom and Yafet. So if these are the children of Noah, just say, these are the children of Noah, Shem, Chom, and Yafet. What do you tell me in between? By the way, he went with God. But that was the help, the merit to help have those children. How do you like that Sforno, Mr. Ava? Nathan, you hear the Sforno? So I wrote it. Right, so I wrote in my, I start sending you you start getting the fresh email out if you get. You're supposed to be getting this. If it's late, you're supposed to be on the list, but Mr. Haber, I think we added you to the list. You get it, Nathan? Yeah. Check for pashashir@gmail. So I said maybe that's a new skula for people to help have children. And you help other people do the right thing in life. Hashem, you helping others. Hashem is not going to give you also to be able to have your own children to guide. Okay. Nun Gimel Lamed Aleph. Taner Rabbanan. We welcome our Morris back. Taner Rabbanan. First word of line is tough resh. Hayoshvim Beit HaMidrash. Middle of the page. Hayu Yoshvim. Nathan, you see right over here? Hayu Yoshvim. Mr. Haber, do you have it? Morris, you want to show me, Mr. Haber? Yosef, it's good to see you. Taner Rabbanan, Hayoshvim Beit HaMidrash. They were sitting in the Beit Midrash. They view all of Neab, and they brought a fire in front of the people in the Beit Midrash. So, every person says their own bracha. It's not one person says the bracha for everybody. Each individual say his own bracha of Borei, Maorei, Aish. Beit Hillel omrim. Beit Hillel says no. Echad v'barach l'kulam. One could, and not only could, and should. One should. It's better. It's more. It's great that one person should do for the group than each person should do for themselves. Why? As we spoke out yesterday, it's more honorable. Berov hashenema. When you do something in a group, it's very honorable for God. When one person learns by himself, it's one level. When a whole group learns Torah, it's much more honorable. So many people are getting together to serve God in a uniform together.
Is that a general comment?
That's a general commentary in all things. That's why, by the way, it's brought down, let's say, especially by Megillat Esther, but it should apply anytime. If you have a minyan with 15 people, and you have a minyan with 30 people, to hear the Megillah, it's the more people is more is greater. The only thing is sometimes when you have more, there's other factors that play a role. That's when everything remains equal. But let's say when you have a bigger place, it's hard for you to hear the chazan, or you're not involved with the rabbi, you're not as connected as much. You feel you just come in, you come out, you can no one notices you. What?
Should you answer with the people? Should you be alone? Should you wait until the congregation does it? The individual does it?
So in general, we say hello. It's best to say hello with tzibur. It's best to say it with the congregation. If a guy comes in late and the tzibur is about to say hello, guy walks in,
Right.
they're saying, you start the hello with the people.
Let's see you all together. Everybody started together. Do you wait until he says hello? The representative says hello? Or do you say hello yourself?
I mean, you also, okay, very good. There are certain things, Mr. Haber's point, there's certain things we do ourselves. We don't just listen to the person. That's what you're getting at, Mr. Haber? Right. There's certain things we don't just listen to the person. For instance, Birkat HaMazon, when you have a zimun, right? In the old days, when they had a zimun, the one who led the zimun would say the whole Birkat HaMazon out loud, and everybody would just listen and fulfill their obligation. Nobody would say Birkat HaMazon. They would just listen, and just like you do by Kiddush, by listening, it's as if you said it. However, as time has gone on, things that are long require a lot of focus. And it's difficult for us to pay attention for such a long period of time. So therefore, they don't recommend that one person should say Birkat HaMazon out loud for the whole, but it's a bracha that's long, that's a grouping of brachot. We rather you say your own bracha, but what's that? Right, so Hallel, right, every person says Hallel, you say along with the Chazan. We're a drop ahead of the Chazan, right? The Chazan repeats.
Like, let's say it's a full Hallel, you're saying Berachos. Should you answer Amen, or should you actually say Berachos?
Oh, I think each person should say their own bracha. I mean, that's our minhag. I can't ask you about Sfardim, but let's say full Hallel. When you say bracha, correct? Do you just listen to the Chazan's bracha, or do you yourself say a bracha? I think we all say we'd say. I think we all say our own bracha and Hallel. We don't just listen to the Chazan say the bracha and we don't say the bracha ourselves. We say the bracha ourselves. You should know there's a whole question on Rosh Chodesh. Do they say a bracha on Hallel? Sfardim do not say bracha, but there are some communities that the Chazan would be the only one to say bracha on Rosh Chodesh, on the Hallel, and everyone just listens to his bracha.
Sometimes on the holidays, if my son says like the Shuk Marah says Shemayim, and then he says Berachah, everybody says Amen. So I would take it that maybe everybody's not saying that.
Now you could answer, but it's Ashkenazim. We answer Amen, and then we say our own bracha.
Well, I see the both.
We do right. We have the Chazan saying out loud. We listen to. We hear it. We don't have a mind to fill our obligation with his bracha. It's just like counting Sfira to Omer. Sfira to Omer. He says it out loud, but we say our own bracha on the Sfira. So we don't just say he says the bracha, he covers us, and then we do the counting. Many things we do ourselves, but there are those things that, let's say Friday night, Kiddush, Havdalah, Hamotzi, we do one says for all. Hamotzi, because every person say Hamotzi Friday night in your house, Morris, or one person says, the leader of the household says Hamotzi. And that's Rov Am. That's honorable that everybody's coming together, working as one unit. Okay, is that clear?
Watch.
Okay, so now you'll be more sensitive. You'll be thinking about it.
We're always thinking about it. We'll never solve. Okay, we'll try it.
Now, Bishamay says each person says the bracha himself. Beit Hillel says
to decide.
one person says the Barim Reish for everybody. Mishum shenema berov am hadat melech. The more people, it's more honorable. It's a greater thing. Now,
There's two opinions.
two different opinions, and the law will follow Beit Hillel.
They only talk about the life.
Here, they're only talking about the bracha of Barim Marahaish
Not talking about even
and Havdalah, but in general. Now, I want to point out an important point. You see, Hamotzi, one person says Hamotzi for everybody. Yet by Birkat HaMazon, I mentioned to you by Birkat HaMazon, we don't, one person does not say the Birkat HaMazon for everybody. I gave you one reason I said was because it's hard to pay attention for such a long span of time. But then there's another point. Let's say, Ala Michya, or burn the fashot. Let's say burn the fashot. It's not so long, burn the fashot. If we all have a drink, we all have a drink of soda, and then we need to say burn the fashot. Do we have one person say burn the fashot to everybody? No. If we all had cake together, and we all need to say Ala Michya, does one person say Ala Michya for everybody? Generally not. Only time the person will say Ala Michya for everybody if you have someone who doesn't know how to say Ala Michya, then we say it for him, have him in mind. But if he knows how to say Ala Michya, so now they're at the question. Why by Hamotzi, we say one person says for everybody. And yet when it comes to the burn the fashot, Ala Michya, and Birkat Mozon, everybody says their own bracha. So Tosfos points out a very interesting difference. One is the bracha rishona, one is the beginning, and one is the end. And what's the difference? In the beginning, we're coming together. We're coming together to eat. We're all coming to sit down together. So we're united as a group. Therefore, it's appropriate for one person to say the bracha for everybody. However, when it comes to, that's when you're coming to eat together. But when you're leaving, therefore, that's not something that you're not coming together. On the contrary, you're leaving each other. Therefore, it's not appropriate for one person to say the bracha for the other people, because you're not to say you need to be more coming, like you come together for kiddush. You're coming together. So when you're coming together for something, then the idea of one person saying for everybody makes a lot of sense. But when we are separating from each other, therefore it's not the ideal way to do it, to say the bracha for everybody, because you're not as united. You're not coming as a together, you're coming to separate. That's an idea. You want to show a contrast between the bracha before you eat and the bracha after you eat.
You say whatever ish, and you say the other bit.
Borminem b'samim. Same.
Are they both individual or collective?
So we the same way by Borim Reish, one person says for everybody, for the group. Borminem b'samim, one person says for everybody. You should know, it's interesting to note that in Europe, many people said the bracha Borim Reish themselves. They did not want to listen to and they question why. But Aruch HaShulchan brings down this. But based on our Gemara, one person should say Borim Reish for everybody. That's a Beit Hillel, because the law follows Beit Hillel, and therefore one person should say anytime you don't do in a group, you have to ask the question why. But the general rule is one should do for all. You're coming together, that's honorable, one do for all. Okay? Now, the Gemara says, first word on is Bishlama. Bishlama Beit Hillel Mefarshi Taima. Beit Hillel explained his reasoning, because it's very good to do it in an honorable way. It's more honorable when one person does for everybody. Ela Beit Shammai my Taima. What's the reason for Beit Shammai? Why does Beit Shammai say that everybody should say his own bracha? Because there's some other outside force playing a role. Savri b'bnei bittul beit midrash. He's concerned, as we said, what is he concerned for? He's concerned for bittul beit midrash. As we spoke yesterday, that if you're going to wait till everybody everyone's ready to join together, right? To say everyone has to pay attention. If you wait till everyone, that extra time is a waste of time from the learning, and therefore, right. That was this reasoning for Beit Shammai. We said the Beit Shammai's concern is that if you're in the Beit Midrash, meaning according to this, Beit Shammai will make a difference whether you're saying to have Havdalah in your house, if you're in your house, Beit Shammai would say, and you're not in the middle of learning, so he would agree. One person should say that for everybody. It's greater to do something, to do a mitzvah as a group. Like we spoke, it's greater. We are now fulfilling the mitzvah of Rov Am Hagad Melech. That's what the Chafetz Chaim said. When you learn in a group, you fulfill this concept instead of learning by yourself. If you're doing it, we're coming to people walk in. People, it's a whole group of people learning. Samuel will say, we got to open up the garden, right? That's Rov Am Hagad Melech. So, but in your house, when you're not in the middle, hopefully also always learning in the house. But if you're not learning at that time, Shammai would say one guy should say one way for everybody. If you're in the Beit Midrash, we're all in the middle of learning in the yeshiva, and a guy walks in with a fire, if we're all going to wait till everyone gets together and focuses, it'll take extra time. And if everyone does it by himself, that's the opinion of Beit Shammai.
Maybe Beit Shammai would hold that we should do call around. We don't wait around.
Because that's bit like I said, it's not a question of bit midrash. There is a question of you're losing from your learning. Here we're not losing from our learning. It's maybe a different question about your work, getting to work on time, so on and so forth. That which is also something we have to be sensitive to.
Is that sensitive to that?
Definitely. There's something called tirchad tzibura. The halacha. That's why we don't read the Navi during the week. During the weekdays, we don't read the Navi. We only have three aliyot. They're short because there's a sensitivity for the people who have to go to work. We can't read the Navi. We love to read the Navi during the weekdays, but we don't have the time. People have to go to work. So the halacha does in the Gemara. There's a sensitivity to the.
They call it something.
Tirchad tzibura. You know how far it went? We learned the Gemara, Nathan, an amazing Gemara, that when you were working for an employer, you were a worker, they actually gave an abridged version of the Birkat HaMazon. The Birkat HaMazon, you're on your job, but you need to eat. And now you're having bread, and you're getting, let's say you're getting paid by the day, whatever it is. He's paid you for the day. Now you're taking off time to eat. But now you want to say Birkat HaMazon, we're going to give you a short version. So you should not take away the time from the employer.
So what about like praying during a work day and like somebody who doesn't have a minyan so accessible to them during the work day? Should they drive an hour, half hour to go to the nearest minyan?
Okay, very good. So there are halachot exactly that tell us how responsible are we to go out of our way to go right. The halacha says, let's say 18 minutes to go out of your way to find the minyan. But I would say,
it's an hour process.
I'm saying 18 minutes in, 18 minutes back. Wow. Then the question is, you have to know, does the 18 minutes mean walking 18 minutes? But what about a distance by car? So it's a discussion. But what I would say is, even if technically you only have to go 18 minutes out of your way, let's say you go away, but I believe it's important to, if you can make it to go to minyan, even if you have to spend more than 18 minutes, you should. It's the importance of going to minyan. Even though you might not be obligated, sometimes in life you might not be obligated to go more than that, but you're losing out on the deal. How do you like that, Mr. Hafer?
All together, struggle to find out, reconcile both. Many are difficult to put together, but credit God that will give you the right.
Right. But I'm saying I'm saying you have clearly it's more than 18 minutes out of your way, but if you could try to but you're losing out by not going to a minyan. That's what the mindset needs to be. Morris, I'm saying good. You see what I'm saying? It's, even though I might not be obligated to do it, there's a lot of things in life I might not be obligated to do it, but I'm losing it. Avram at 99, he had Brit Milah, and he was patur from having guests. He was patur from having guests because he's sick. He's a sick man. He just had a minor operation, but he didn't want to miss out. I'm patur. I got a doctor's note. But I don't want to miss out. So therefore, in life, we have to remember, even though sometimes we might not, certain things we might not be obligated to do, but we're missing out. We're losing when we don't go ahead and, that's my personal opinion. Okay.
Alright.
So the Gemara says you go on vacation somewhere, so I say you book a motel, go to a hotel, seek a stay overnight in a place where it's not so far from Minyan. Wherever you travel, try to that's part of your trip. You'll see another community. Put that into your trip. No, I stayed overnight over here and there's no Minyan. Okay, so I don't. Why'd you stay over? Why can't I try to plan the trip that if I can't plan it that way, I can't plan it that way. But many times in life, we have the ability to plan things a certain way, and we could put ourselves in that spot. So that's what I like to do when I would travel. I want to go see where's the Minyan. The night before, I'll find a motel where it's not too far from Minyan, and that's how I like to do it. Make that decision, plan it that way. Get what I'm saying? Exactly. But it's not Chabad. It's not Chabad everywhere, but they do make it easier. But they don't always have Minyan during the week. But that's what I will tell you.
Yeah.
Okay. So the Gemara says, now, Tanya Nam Yocha. Now the Gemara says that we learned in a brighter like this. Shall Beit Rabbi Gamliel lahoya umim marpeish. In the Beit Rabbi Gamliel, they did not. What everybody? How do you say? God bless you. And when a person sneezes, we say, I don't know what the Sfardim say. What do they say when person? You should live. Now the reason for that is, as you know, it says when the time of creation, a person did not get sick before he passed away. He would sneeze and they would die. That was because like Hashem, it says Hashem blew into your nostrils in the Shema, and then a person would sneeze, and then that would be the weirdest, that would be death. And what happened?
I just thought that was like a myth.
No, it's not a myth at all. And until Yaakov Avinu prayed that a person should not be taken with a sudden sneeze. Rather, person should be sick before they pass away. In order, there should be time to call his family together. Yaakov, he prayed. He made a tefillah that in order they should be able to call his family together. What needs to be done? How the family should continue? Maybe he has some business dealings. He has money hidden in here and money there. Right. He called them together. He told them what I expect from you guys. He gave them blessings and beautiful and that was based on his prayers. Yeah, it's like the same thing. He thought he might. It's like he entered the 5-year period when his mother had passed away. Because a person says that if a person comes within 5 years of age of any of their parents, when their parents, the age of their parents, they have to start. There's a concern that God might take them also within that age group. So when it's like didn't know if he's going to. He didn't know if he's going to. It's more it's more possible, more prone to pass away. His mother died at 127. So he wasn't sure. He was at that age, that area window of that window of 127. So at that time, said, you know what? He has to give the blessings to his kids now. No, he lived to 180. Really, he lived to 5 years of Avraham. Avraham passed away at 175. Yitzchak lived to 180. So he did that, like Aaron said. He wasn't sure, and if we felt I gotta give the blessings now. So therefore, that's why a person is responsible to say Chaim or be well, because that's very key.
They gobble it up. Eventually, gobble it up. You know what they're saying. They stopped and did it according to the way it's written.
And
they should.
And it's interesting that the Kiva Ega on the side of the Gemara brings this down. This you're a nice guy. I'm a nice guy. Say God bless. Say God bless you. No, it's not. It's more than you have responsibility to give the guy that
I
blessing.
mean, I think you get hit before the guy for one, I'm sure they could have been something
oh.
else, like maybe you developed an unpainful boil on your arm. You knew that like your time is taking you so like
Right. It could be that maybe maybe he wanted the person gets sick. The sickness will be a atonement for the person. So the person gets pains in this world, that Hashem takes those pains instead of, and then hopefully he won't go to Gehenna, he won't go to HELL because perhaps because of those pains that my father was sick for a number of years, right? So not that he did anything wrong that he needs to go to Gehenna, but those pains, whatever he had, will definitely make it easier. They should not have to make any stop. You know what I'm saying? In Gehenna these days. You should know the Balaturim in this week's parsha Gehenim equals Hamas. You know the group Hamas in Israel, and you know Hamas in the parsha Hamas. It was thievery. So thievery, the numerical value of Hamas, Ches is 8, Mem is 40, Samach is 60, is 108. Gehenim, which is HELL, Gehenim equals Hamas. If a person acts not honest, steals, where's he going to wind up? What does that bring the person? What does that equal? Gehenim. Hamas equals Gehenim. How do you like that? And the Hamas group in Israel is Gehenim. So they killed the Jews, the Hamas. That's Gehenna. That's the Balaturim this week's parsha. So you'll see it in the email. Okay. What was the sensitivity of Beis Rabbi Gamliel? They did not say God bless you when a person sneezes in the Beit Midrash, because of what? Because of Bitul Beit HaMidrash. Because if I tell you God bless you in middle, I'm taking away from my learning time, and maybe you're going to also have to respond thank you, and that's going to take away from your learning time. And therefore, he was concerned for what? Bitul Beit Midrash. So based on, very good, excellent. So anything that should be called Bitul Beit Midrash, anything that should be called taking away from Beit Midrash, would seem from our Gemara be a problem. When I learned this Gemara, I said to myself, the Gemara records that we learned like this at the Beit Rabbi Gamliel, the house of Rabbi Gamliel. They were the ones who did not say God bless you in the Beit Midrash. Sounds like only them. The Beit Rabbi Gamliel. Meaning, what doesn't sound like it was a universal accepted custom that nobody said God bless you in the Beit Midrash. But they were on that level. However, if you look at the Shulchan Aruch, it's amazing. And but then the Shulchan Aruch says that in the Beit Midrash, a Masicha Beit HaMidrash. Here's Shulchan Aruch in Yeridea. Here's Rabbi Yosef Cairo doing the talk. You're not only supposed to talk in a Beit Midrash, only Divrei Torah. I'm not supposed to talk about the news, the Yankees, the Mets, all that stuff in the Beit Midrash. No. Even someone who sneezes, you don't say refuah, you don't say to them, be well in the Beit Midrash. That's what he says. And he says the holiness of a Beit Midrash is holier than a shul. In the old days, they would have a Beit Midrash, one place, and then another place, the synagogue, not the same place. He says the holiness of the Beit Midrash is holier. We're making this shul like this room as a Beit Midrash also. But if this room would only be used for prayer, and if downstairs would be used for learning, downstairs would be holier than the shul up here. The holiness is because of what? Torah study is the greatest mitzvah. You hear that? More than a synagogue. The holiness of a shul. That the holiness is now. So the commentaries on the Shulchan Aruch says maybe perhaps this is only in those that they did not look outside their holy books. They never looked outside their Gemara, their Chumash. Therefore, his time already, already books. But you're saying good. I think the idea is the people who are on such a level Those, therefore, that's what this law is talking about. But nowadays, meaning if a person in those days that they did not do anything to distract from their, therefore certainly they will not say go ahead, and they didn't look outside their, therefore they didn't say God bless you. But in our nowadays that we're not on that level, we sometimes look outside our, we sometimes think in the Beit Midrash, we're not always putting in, it might not be at that level. We might say hello to somebody in the Beit Midrash or whatever. It's not that level of seriousness, like intensity. Very good, it's a good word. Therefore, we're not so careful not to say God bless you. We're a little more relaxed about it, and we would say in the Beit Midrash, God bless you. That is the opinion of the Shach. The Taz is a beautiful Taz, who disagrees. He says, I don't think you should write such a leniency, that you should say that today you should be able to go ahead and be lenient to say God bless you. Even though he says, if you tell people today, you know what, you could say God bless you in the Beit Midrash, people will start saying, I can say God bless you. I can interrupt. I can interrupt to talk to you, to have a schmooze, to have a conversation with you in the Beit Midrash, and an idle conversation in the Beit Midrash, and that's a big problem to have an idle conversation in the Beit Midrash. Therefore, don't listen to this to be lenient. On the contrary, the rabbi should go ahead and say, don't say God bless you in the Beit Midrash. And people will, why? And people will learn that if you don't say God bless you in the Beit Midrash, that's a praiseworthy thing. How do you like the two opinions? You see Nathan, I keep you had the two opinions. At the end of the day, everybody agrees with each other that there shouldn't be idle chatter in the Beit Midrash. You have to be very careful about that. But it's just interesting. But listen, I think if everybody would just say God bless you in Beit Midrash and not talk about other things, I think we'll be all right. Problem is that he's concerned that if you're going to go ahead and say God bless you, you're going to go ahead and start, how you doing? How things? It's like an intro. Or if people, I think he's worried about, if people see that you interrupt for something, people are not always focused on, this is a very reasonable thing to interrupt for, and the other thing is not a very reasonable thing to interrupt for. Once you allow a person an allowance, sometimes they take that allowance and they use it even in places where they shouldn't be using it. That's the concern.
Shul where you pray more lenient in terms of what you're supposed to do, or is it pretty much the same?
I think it's interesting. Shul, even though we said that okay, well, we'll what do we say about kavod for shul? A kavod of a person, right? There is something we interrupt. We say shalom aleichem. We say aleichem shalom. There is this, but we have to see more about what it says about. But I think it says similar in the synagogue. You're not supposed to be talking what words idle chatter, and people are not supposed to be talking about. The guy comes early to minyan or after minyan. I think the law is you're not supposed to be talking about mundane matters in the synagogue. You want to talk about the mundane, go downstairs, go to the social room, you go outside in the hall. I can't talk about the sports here in the synagogue. I can't talk about things that are not, I believe it's the same thing regarding saying hello to someone is kavod ha'adam. That I could do. I say hello to somebody, good morning, good afternoon, have a great day. What? We have to be respectful. But to have a conversation in a synagogue, which the conversation is not of Torah, of growth, of mitzvah, just an idle conversation, I think that's inappropriate. But we'll get back next time. Maybe we'll look at that halacha more. But I think it's it's a very, especially people talk during davening and people talk. It's also very inappropriate. People talk.
It makes sense because like when you're dealing with the tangible, so you see someone all of a sudden the conversation start going and it's becoming more to take your focus.
To focus away.
So it's better than just put a boundary line, like
Right.
somewhere, so you don't keep, you know.
Okay, very good. So let's continue. Next piece of the Gemara. Ein of Marachim lo hanevel absam shel meitim. It says in the Mishnah, you're not allowed to say a bracha on a fire or b'samim. Now we're getting into b'samim also of a person who passed away. A person who passed away, it was common that they would put spices near the body. So it should be a nice smell to the body, because the body shouldn't give off a bad smell. So they put spices to take away any bad odor, just like deodorant. Deodorant is not there for the smell that you want to smell. It's not cologne. It's a defensive protection, that it shouldn't have that and appropriate odor, so you put that on. So therefore, you do not, if you have something, the person's by the funeral parlor, and his father owns the funeral chapel, and he's at Saturday night, he goes to be the shomer of the body, and he needs to say Havdalah, and there's samim, there's spices all over in the morgue or whatever, there's spices all over there. Can he say samim on those spices? The Mishnah says he can't. Why? Because those spices are not made to smell the spices. The spices are not coming for a positive smell. It says Nathan says defensive. It's to remove a bad odor. It's not coming for you're not coming there. It's not, the purpose is not to smell the spice. The spice is coming to take away something else. Similarly, like we said about a fire, sometimes they would light a fire also in honor of the dead body. I don't know if it was because they wanted to keep mice away. I don't know if they or just because of honor of the dead body, there would be a light around the fire. So that fire, you do not say Bore Mora Eish, because you're not lighting the fire for the purpose of seeing that you want to see. You want to see the light. You're lighting the fire for some other ulterior motive. Like we said, if you light a fire that's lit for cooking purposes, I can't say the bracha on that fire.
Oh, briefly out the stove.
I didn't ask. I forgot to ask about the stove. But if I would open up the stove for the purpose of lighting to me, that looks good. But I want to double check. If I'm opening up for the purpose of, not that I had to see, if you had the fire on the stove from before Shabbat, you had your blech, had your fire on, that you cannot say the bracha on that, because that fire was not lit for lighting purposes. The fire on top of your stove for Shabbat that you kept your food on was lit for heating purposes. But if I want to go in and open up the fire after Shabbat, I'm opening up the fire for the purpose I want the fire, should be good, but I'm going to double check. Okay, I want everyone to have a proper davening. I want to give you a few minutes to get ready for davening. Shabbat shalom, everybody. Beautiful. What a shach and taz over there. There's two great commentaries on the Shulchan Aruch. One's called the shach and what's called the taz. By the way, those are acronyms. Shach stands for Sifte Kohen, Taz stands for Turei Zahav. These are acronyms. Take a great day. Have a great day, everybody. Let's say, whose hat is this? Anybody missing? Nathan, keep it up. Yeah. Yeah, the big rabbi passed away. Yeah. His son now,
My father went through the great story. Went to meet. No, it was Rafan's son, right?
Yeah, yes.
He passed away, right?
Right.
So my grandfather was sick, and for a while they had a lot of questions, and ultimately they took him there. And my father was like, he went, it was like Chinatown, and like he's like, I expected him to like barely speak. He was like, hey, what are you doing? Like, he has a great story.
Yeah, very. I want to ask your father about it.
So who's you gotta ask.
His son's Berachos. It's very, very big rabbi.
One morning, you arranged for this class. We'll go there one morning. Tell my Gemara class. We want a shiur. Be nice.
Yeah, we're going over there.
When we get it, when we ever get the time slot,
See, his personality is a more quiet personality.
Yeah.
I think he needs a little more time to get into that, being more,
Okay.
but beautiful. Maybe we could I think we should get him to talk about his father and grandfather emotionally.
Yeah, whatever it
I
is.
think that would be something special.
Even one night. All from this class.
So you remind me about that idea. It's a great idea.
Okay. You know, one night, whatever it is.
You gotta come on. Oh, beautiful. Yes. Thank you very much. Beautiful.
When do we do it? When you're fine.
Yeah, so let's talk. Let me see what Tuesday morning after because if I don't, depends if I'm learning with someone. If I'm not learning with someone, then meaning if I want to learn with somebody. If I'm not, we'll do it.
Okay,
Okay?
sounds good.
It looks very nice.